257 Jazz Studies. Welcome to this audio blog installment of 257's Learn About Jazz. Visit us online at 257.com. That's IIV7.com. Where is New Orleans jazz today? New Orleans, the birthplace of jazz, does its own thing with jazz. For this reason, modern jazz musicians experience a bit of a culture shock when they first visit New Orleans. If you go to New York, you can likely find a place to hear bebop, hard bop, cool, post-bop, funk, fusion, smooth, acid, jazz rock, or any of a number of other subgenres of jazz played live on almost any night of the week, doing their own thing. If you go to New Orleans, you're only going to find New Orleans jazz being played wherever you go every night of the week. It's not traditional jazz or Dixieland. It's not straight-ahead jazz either. It's somewhere in between. New Orleans jazz utilizes swing feel, improvisation, traditional chord changes, and song forms. Hot jazz continued. It's a continuation of the hot jazz tradition created and played at the turn of the century and continued through the 1930s. The music of Buddy Bolden, Kid Ory, Louis Armstrong, and other pioneers of early jazz from New Orleans. New Orleans jazz, above all, is meant for dancing, and mostly for moving people down the street. Whether it's a second line or a Mardi Gras parade, the music keeps everybody going forward. Somewhere along the line, mainstream jazz took a different path from the tradition that began in New Orleans, but the Crescent City kept to its own course. Lyrical inventions in intimate settings. When big bands roamed the earth, New Orleans musicians stayed in their small ensembles. When bebop changed the way we understand improvisation, New Orleans musicians continued inventing lyrical improvisations within the actual chord changes to the songs. This is how you can understand New Orleans jazz today. It may sound dated at first, but when you realize the songs are new and original, it becomes fresh all over again. So where can you go to hear good New Orleans jazz? Here's a quick list of the best venues to find some great jazz in New Orleans. First of all, go to Frenchmen Street, just out of the French Quarter on the other side of Esplanade. Frenchmen Street Jazz Clubs. Snug Harbor, 626 Frenchmen Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70116. snugjazz.com/site, S-I-T-E. This is where Ellis Marsalis plays regularly, and his sons Delfeo and Jason. They have an upstairs stage and bar, and a bar downstairs with the live show piped in from upstairs. Various performers present 2 shows a night, 7 days a week, starting at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. There is an admission fee, but well worth it every night. Check their site for acts, times, and dates. The Spotted Cat, 623 Frenchmen Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70116. SpottedCatMusicClub.com. The home of the famous New Orleans Jazz Vipers. Among many other fantastic musicians, they offer 3 shows daily starting around 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. Check the door for admissions charges, but be ready to tip the band. Check their site for acts, times, and dates. DBA, 618 Frenchmen Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70116. DBABars.com/DBANO/. With shows starting nightly around 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., you can find some great music to relax to. Look for the Hot Club of New Orleans, an ensemble with guitar, violin, and clarinet. It's a hot jazz treat for any occasion. Check their site for acts, times, and dates. The Three Muses, 536 Frenchmen Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70116. TheThreeMuses.com. Probably the only smoke-free music venue in New Orleans, The Three Muses offers an eclectic mix of live performances starting around 4:30 p.m. for happy hour, and a second show around 10 p.m. Check their site for acts, times, and dates. Blue Nile, 534 Frenchmen Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70116. BlueNileLive.com. The oldest live music venue on Frenchmen Street, Blue Nile features a wide array of national and international acts in 2 rooms with state-of-the-art sound and lights. You can find blues or brass bands, among other high-quality live music with shows starting early and late. Check their site for acts, times, and dates. Frenchmen Street is where it's at. Now, Frenchmen Street isn't the only place to hear good New Orleans jazz in New Orleans. But if you want to avoid the tourist trap that has become of Bourbon Street, and want to stay away from some of the seedier areas of the city, then Frenchmen is the place for you. It's where the locals go when they want to get out and have a good time. Enjoy. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Visit us today at 257.com. Study jazz with our free tutorials and join our mailing list to get the latest updates. That's iiv7.com.